Still going. I hope that you guys can hear me on Instagram. Okay, excellent. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on tonight's episode of Starseed Activations. So tonight we're actually going to be discussing the 0 point. So over the past few days, we actually had fight or flight systems come into the consciousness. And so many people with the past full moon have been experiencing turbulence in their life, energetic shifts. We're still seeing people they're having shadow work come up. Things from their childhood are coming up. People are learning how to take full control of their energetic grids and how to make changes or modifications, which then in turn changes or alters the physical perception that they experience. And so what does that mean? When you start to place focus on the root chakra, as an example, then all of a sudden the things that you experience in your physical world, your physical reality, are going to change or be modified. And so when you start cleaning off your source frequency lens of the root chakra, it changes the way that you see the physical world. Many of us automatically, if you're on the spiritual path, there was something, or you magnetized the information to come to you. And so that information, let's say the conspiracy. So we learn about the darkness, we learn about our darkness, and then we learn how to heal all that with love and light. When we do that, the law of polarity basically heals that and opens up a piece of our energetic grid structure. So when we were learning about the darkness in the society, the darkness in ourselves, that actually allowed us to clear off that source frequency lens that's in the root chakra, because we realized, there's problems in the civilization. There's problems in everyone's household. There's problems in the food, the air that you drink, the water. There's problems everywhere. And so, but the second that you realize that there's a problem, all of a sudden the solution comes. And so the solutions bring light. And light is love. And so when people love the earth, then all of a sudden we start to see more nature-based materials start to become manifest. And so less plastic. And so you have people, even like me, we go out of our way to carry our reusable bags, even though it's a pain in the butt and we leave them in the car half of the time. But we go out of our way because we want to start, less plastic. And even if it's one person, you're making an impact. Now, there was a country that just did a study, and this to me is so incredibly interesting, but they gave away 2 or 3 chickens per household to whoever wanted them. And so they're free. Here, the government said, take the chickens. And so they took the chickens. In 1 month, they reduced 100,000 tons of garbage. Mind blown, 100,000 tons of garbage. So what does that mean? If we are eating salads, if we are eating vegetation, if we are eating melons, cantaloupe, honeydew, where's all that waste going? We're throwing it into a landfill. And so nobody has time to do a recycling bin in their backyard. Not in the modern day and age. Some people, if they have farms, they do that. But they gave all these people the chickens. Now, all of a sudden, all of this food that we would throw in the landfill, they would throw into the chickens, and the chickens were eating it. And that was less trash that was hitting the landfills. And so that's such a tiny little change that we can do. Now, it's really up to the people. We have to be sharing and caring with each other. We have to be the change that we wish to see in the world. Because when we start saying, you know what, that's my brother and sister. I don't know them from a hole in the wall, but I'm going to treat them like my brother or sister. And so I'm going to love them. I'm going to care about them. I'm going to help them. And so it's the same thing. The government, do you think the governments care about us? No, but they gave away chickens. And so that government cared about the people enough to give them chickens. And then all of a sudden, the chickens started reducing and changing the environment, because that's exactly what happened. They were changing the people. They were changing the patterns of behavior. Now, a lot of times when people own chickens, it completely changes their perception, because when you start to own a chicken, I had a chicken show up in my house once in New York. And so I loved this chicken. I would come outside, I would feed her corn. She would run and wobble to me, and we called her Henna. And so I fell in love with the chicken. The second I fell in love with the chicken was the second I no longer wanted to eat chicken. And so what do you think is going to happen when all these people have these chickens, right? It's if there's a selection of fruits and vegetables and we don't have to eat the chicken, then maybe that owner who loves that animal, maybe they're not going to eat the chicken. So you can kind of see how one action, one behavior is going to have a ripple effect. Yeah, you were just watching something about the landfills and the chickens earlier today, but so funny. That's a synchronicity, because that's not on my list. I only had a handful of things to talk about today. And so this was going to be short. Yeah, the chickens, it just sometimes the information flows when people need to see the synchronicities. Yes. Hello, Christina. Welcome. Welcome. So yeah, today's topics, I wanted to discuss the 0 point. And so the 0 point has everything to do with our manifestations and how we're manifesting. And so it's important. What the hell was I going to say? Because I had something else I was going to say. Okay, let's start that again. So we are going to speak about the 0 point today. The 0 point, basically the way that your energetic grid structures flow is like this. It's a pyramid that flows in a spiral, kind of like the DNA. That energetic comes from up and it fills the physical form. It radiates out circular and it comes back in, forming a sacred geometric snowflake. And so this is very important because this is how we manifest everything. And so every single thing that you see in the physical reality, whether it be good or bad, it's a reflection of the energy that's coming from inside of you. This is my hologram. I am the primary person in my hologram. However, you are the primary person in your hologram. And so your energy is doing the same process in yours. And then it's kind of like a ripple effect. If you've ever seen, 2 pennies dropped in the ocean, and so it makes 2 ripples. The collective consciousness, the ripples blend together. That's when we have a co-creation. And so co-creation is important because it's like 2 souls are co-creating, like we are co-creating this live video tonight. And so each and every person on the video is a co-creator of the information. Any one of you guys can throw a comment and that could change the words that come out of my mouth. And so this is just how the collective consciousness works. So when you know that you're a primary individual in your life, then all of a sudden it becomes your responsibility to start focusing your energy and your perception properly. And so many times, and this goes back into the fight or flight systems, we've been talking about depression, anxiety, fight, flight, or freeze. Freeze is another one. Sometimes people go inside their shell, and so it can even lead to comas. This is how comas come about, is because sometimes the energy is too much for a person to take. A lot of times the comas end up, you get into a car accident and all of a sudden you're in a coma. So that trauma was too much for you, so you went inside your shell. That's a protection that your body does automatically. And so we talk about it from a metaphysical perception, but we can also talk about it from science. And so science has proved these things. And so what was the other one? Fight, flight, freeze, inward shelling. And then, the memory loss. That was one that I experienced. And so sometimes when there's too much drama and chaos for one person, or the memory is too traumatic, your memory will just blank itself out. And so every single day is like a fresh start for some people. And so that can be healed. You can come back from Alzheimer's. I've seen it done multiple times. And so just because you experience it, it just means that now you're learning how to heal it. And then you take that information and you help other people, because every single experience that you have ever had is always going to be something that you need to have in order for your future. And so in my past, I was in the drama club. I was on stages. I was talking in front of people, and all the things. I look back now and I'm like, all of the things that I have experienced were things that I needed to be the person I am today. And so that's the same exact thing for each and every one of you. So you guys should always take a look and see what experiences that you have had, because those experiences are always setting you up for your future. Now, think about it from a metaphysical perspective, because the star people are stepping forward and they're saying, when you know the experiences that you had between the cycle repeats, your cycles are always going to repeat. So if you had so much fun in the past, that starts a cycle. That cycle is going to repeat itself. And so that's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is a manifestation. And so when you had a lot of fun doing this, it turns into a manifestation of things that you're going to be doing in the future. And so, yeah, welcome. I know I don't normally do Sundays, but today the star people were like, let's do a live. So I was like, okay. So, okay, I wrote something down. Manifestation is magnetism or magnetic station. And so this is another important thing. Your manifestations are what are you magnetizing into your physical reality. And so you have to realize that when you are trying to manifest anything into your physical world, you have to be magnetically in attunement to receive it. And so how do we generate that magnetic attunement? And so this is a simple way. I tell people to do this all the time. We win $1 on a scratch off and we're like, oh yeah, that's great. And we throw the scratch off and we cash, it's only $1, right? Nobody cares about $1. However, if you win $1 on a scratch off and you jump for joy and you fire off an emotion of, yeah, I won the lottery, then all of a sudden your emotion code of, yay, I won, that's going to send a magnetic energy into your energetic grids, which then in turn changes your manifestation of your reality. And so if you continuously get joyful and excited over the tiny things, this is why everyone tells you be thankful and grateful. And so when you're thankful and grateful for all of your food, you will always have food. When you are thankful and grateful for your house, right? If you've ever seen someone who's really thankful and really grateful, let's say they walked through fire. They didn't have a house of their own. They felt like crummy stuff. They had to sleep under a bridge, all that stuff. The second that that person gets a house, their house is spotless. It smells beautiful because they care about it. They love it. They love that house. They bless that house because they are grateful inside. And so when you hold that emotion code to your house, one will always be clean because you will make sure that it is always clean, even if you have little kids in there messing it up. You will always make sure because you are happy and grateful that you have a home, right? This is why they say you have to count your blessings, because the more and more that you bless or you're thankful and thank you for all this stuff, it opens streams of abundance that you may not know that you had. And so here's one exciting one to do. Thank you. Money always comes to me in checks in the mails. And then I say, Amen, Usa, Usa, Usa. Now, Amen means I take it, I send it to the sun. And so the Egyptians knew this about the sun because the sun is giving us our chi energetic. The sun also plays a direct role on the consciousness of all people. And so your consciousness is basically your thought pattern. And so when you're having a thought and that thought is telling you, okay, well, let's take the spiritual journey. How many people woke up to the spiritual knowledge? That was all because the sun. Now the sun raised in frequency, which it was yellow when I was a kid. Now all of a sudden it looks really, really white. And so that sun raised in frequency, which then in turn is changing the way that people think. And so people are starting to think, there has to be something more to life than this. There has to be. And so when you experience a polarity, a lot of people have experienced no money. And then they've had so much money that it didn't bother them anymore. Like, what do you want me to do with all the money? It doesn't matter. We can't spend it all in a day. What are we going to do with it? We're going to put it in the bank? Who cares? And so, but when you reach that point, when you've experienced both polarities, it unlocks something in the universe. And so then your consciousness no longer has to worry about money or finances. And then all of a sudden your consciousness shifts the perception, which gives you perception into the next topic that you are meant to learn from. And so that's actually how that works. Yeah. So is just being thankful for the attunement needed for manifestation. What else can we do? Right. So there's actually many different ways. Now, the heart-based way of manifestation is much more valuable than the male logical way or masculine logical way. They're correcting me. And so, because it's not male and female, it's masculine and feminine. It's an energy. It's not an actual biological form. It's an energetic. And so the heart-based way of manifestation, there's a gland on the roof of the mouth. Now, you have to use the tip of the tongue. It's very important to use the tip of the tongue because when a human heart is born, right? Let's say you went through connection, your cell was fertilized, your egg was fertilized, and then all of a sudden, the first thing that formed was the heart. The next thing that comes out of that heart is the tip of the tongue. And so that tip of the tongue, this is how the babies grow. Now, when you know that, now all of a sudden you realize that there's a connection between the tip of the tongue and the heart. It's a very strong connection because this is how you coax the higher self into the physical form. This is important. And so the gland is right where the babies stick their thumb, and that tip of the thumb reaches into that gland. So they're wiggling it. It stimulates alpha brainwave patternings. And so when we do this, when we rub that with the tip of the tongue, there's a little gland that looks like a seed. And that seed, it pops out. So it's like a bump on the roof of the gland. It is on the hard palate, not the soft, bumpy part. If you reach the soft, bumpy part, you've gone too far. It's right next to it, though. And so just wiggle that back and forth and watch it pop out. Now, keep doing this and keep focusing on the lower heart chakra. Your heart's about this big, right? And so between your nose and your chin, this is the length of the chakra. And so you take a look at from the nose here, here's the third eye. From the third eye here, here's the crown chakra. Well, it's the same with the heart chakra. So the place in the lower heart, that's actually the seat of the higher self. And so you can use this to brain waves in alpha, and then it coaxes the higher self down into the body. Do this while you're in meditation. Now, when you do it long enough, you're going to notice green, but you have to look out the pineal gland, not the physical eyes. The pineal gland will flash off green. That's when the higher self is placing full focus on you. So tell the higher self exactly what you want. I want X, Y, and Z. I want a tiny home community. I want a UFO. I want yada, 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 yada. And then all of a sudden kick back into meditation and chill. And just wait, because the higher self is going to give you a visual representation of whatever it is that you just told him or her that you wanted, or it. Yes. And so the second that you get the visual, you're going to be shown pictures or a sense. Some people have senses. Most of the time it's pictures because it's from the higher self. And so then once you see your manifestation, they're showing you, or the higher self is showing you fragments of the timeline that they just put you on so that your manifestation comes to you. And so just kick back, pull yourself out of the meditation, say thank you. That's all you have to do. Now, the masculine or magnetic energy way of, nope, they're correcting me. The masculine way of manifestation, they're saying, is a more electric. And so you're using the thought process or the chi energetics, which is why you have to make a list. And that list, you have to wake up every single day and follow the list. Like, it's very logic-based way of manifesting. The Secret, the movie The Secret, they do it that way too. So it's very masculine energy way. Totally different than the female way, because the female way, you're coming in the heart and you're just believing, but you're making communication with the higher self, which is allowing that belief pattern to fully secure and fully manifest into the physical reality, they are saying. So yeah, they're saying that the 0 point is of high value, because when you start to learn how to unlock and do all of these different processes, it is going to change who you are in the now moment, because now all of a sudden, anything that you wish to manifest becomes a reality. And that means anything. And so me personally, I am manifesting my star people coming down, right? And so I want to see them. I want to meet them. I want to hold them. I want to say hello. This is what I'm trying to manifest. And so I know it's going to manifest. So each and every one of us can be doing things like this. And we don't have to manifest millions of dollars. That crap is not going to make you happy. You're going to spend a bunch of it. You're going to be happy for a week. And then you're going to be like, now what do we do? And that's where everybody gets. Take a look at the rich people. They're not even truly happy. They're in the same place as us. And that is strictly because there has to be more to life than this. There has to be more than the physical reality. And there is. And so I'm telling you guys, there is much more to that. And so when you really start to come into the meditations, you can unlock the astral realm. And so the astral realm shows you can pull your spirit or your light body out of your physical form. You can go travel around the solar system. You guys can activate your extrasensory abilities. Those things are real because the physical reality isn't even physical. So there is actually a part of your higher self, which is your soul form. That soul form has never really left the heavens. It's never left the crystalline realms. It fractaled into a micro piece, which dropped down and allowed your consciousness to experience life. And so, but your higher self is fractalizing into a bunch of different people at once. And so when we take a look at that, we understand that, okay, so this is what a twin flame is. Your twin flame, that flame is your higher self fractalized into multiple people. And so the process of evolution is going to allow the human individual to fully pull the consciousness up and back into the higher self, which then in turn shall allow them to pick and select which individual life they wish to have an experience in. And so that life could be you in a parallel reality. That life could be your higher self fractaled into another planetary system, into another body that could potentially be an extraterrestrial race, meaning they don't look like a humanoid. That could even be an inner earth person. And so your higher self is a full multidimensional being. And so when we know this, when we start working with our own internal energetics, they are saying you could do so many wonderful things and change your reality and live in peace and bliss and love. But not only that, you can change the world that you see. We are all multidimensional. There is a billion different dimensions out there, a billion different timelines, a billion different universes in which we made different decisions, different choices. When we woke up this morning, you were given the gift of the present. You were given your memory complex. Your memory complex is your past. And so we believe that we are that past. We are not that past. That past, all that is something to teach us. And what are we here to learn? We're here to learn how to, boom, heal all those traumas instantaneously. Yes, that's possible. That's part of activating your full potential as well. Because when you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm going to heal all the trauma that I have inside my grid, and I'm going to be my source frequency self, right? And so that's your higher self. When you fully allow the higher self to come into the biological form, none of the shade, traumas, density, none of that stuff is going to have an effect, because your higher self is going to only inhabit the physical form when you are vibrationally in a line in a high frequency, which then in turn, the higher self is automatically going to place you on the best and brightest potential timeline available for manifestation, they are saying. Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Welcome from Australia. Welcome. Does anybody have any questions for them? I can ask some questions. Excellent. Okay. We are also, I wanted to tell you guys, because we have an overabundance, we started doing this crystal program. And so you guys started gifting us crystals. And now I have a whole bunch. And so we went out and we bought extra boxes so we can pack them all in boxes. Now these crystal boxes, we're overstuffing. And so whereas we just went to a crystal store today, and I got this teeny tiny little crystal for like $7. It's turquoise. And so, yeah, it's nuts. And so the crystal package that we're getting, because we had all you guys send in your crystals, the crystal box is like a box that's jam-packed with crystals, as many crystals as I could fit in there. Some are brand new. A lot of them are actually mine, because I'm gifting my entire crystal set away as well. Each one of the crystals is going to be programmed with DNA activations with the star people. So I sit down, I do activations on them, I do manifestations on them. I program them all for abundance. And so you have to realize that the way a crystal works, we can take a crystal and we can consciously make communication with the crystal. And so I can take the crystal and I can actually go in, I can feel or sense the energetic of the crystal. And so, but then because I do energetics all day doing sessions for people, now I understand fully how the energetics feel. And so that feeling, that emotion code is very important, because the second you know how it feels, you could change it. And so what I do with the crystal is I come in, I feel the natural frequency of the crystal after I cleansed it. So I'm feeling the natural energy it has. And then I'm programming my frequencies of what I want as a manifestation. I know how it feels to win the lottery. I've won the lottery before. I jumped for joy. It was wonderful. So I know the emotion code. And so this is the trick. Finding a person who's actually going to look this silly in their comfort of their home is rare, but I do it. And so I hold the crystal and I feel the emotional expression of how did it feel to win the lottery? How did it feel to be given unlimited abundance so that I have money to get whatever the hell I want, even though I don't want anything? I would have an iced coffee, but I can't even drink it anymore. But still, I know the emotion codes. And so what you do is, you do this a couple of times. You don't just do it once. You hold on to the emotion code and you push the emotion code inside the crystal. And so now what you just did was you've encoded an emotion code or an experiential code, the star people are saying, into the crystal. And then all of a sudden, that crystal, especially the ones that have the points on it, because ones like this has 6 sides. And so this can accept 6 different program codes into it. And so I can program 6 different manifestations into one crystal. One of them is always going to be health. So I feel the emotion of being joyful, blissful, and perfectly happy and healed. I know what that feels like, because I was a cripple for 12 years once. So I know what it's like to be spontaneously healed. It feels like you forgot you were ever in pain. And so anyone who's ever had significant pain, let's say you broke something, right? One morning you wake up and you're like, oh, it doesn't hurt anymore, right? And you may have forgotten about the pain. That's what that feels like. And so it's a blessing. But now you can take all these different emotion codes and you start to program them into the crystal. So that's what I do with my crystal. And I'm very strong at doing it. I know it. I see the reflections too. And so we do this for all the crystals, and we do power 3 manifestations on them as well. So many people come online with me. We all do it together. My kids do it. It's great. Yeah. Do you feel crystals all have different energies like people? Yes. And it's not only that, but each crystal can make communication with you. Each crystal is its own fractal of a consciousness. And so what that basically means is that crystal can go, and if you hold it, and let's say you didn't know what crystal it was, you close your eyes and you held it up to your pineal gland, you can ask it where it's from and the crystal will tell you. And so you'll feel it. It will always be the first thought that comes into your mind. You can't change the thought like, oh, that's not right. You can't allow your monkey mind to get to you. Whatever the first thought that comes in, write it down immediately. This way you can't change it, because that thought is always from the crystal. Now, a lot of times the crystals, like most of them, won't have full-blown conversations with you. They'll give you tiny bits of information. And so they always have an attunement. And so when we look at a crystal Bible, that crystal Bible is telling us what the attunements are. Oh, this crystal helps heal X, Y, and Z. Okay, but that's only one aspect of the crystal, because the star people are stepping forward right now, and they're saying that crystal works on the energy grid structure. And so let's say you had an imbalance in the solar plexus, which is that solar plexus, the yellow chakra, the sun, Soleil, is pulling in your energetic, which provides your energetic grids and your cellular level voltage. And so when you have a yellow crystal, that has an attunement to deal with that grid structure, because each one of the chakras have its own energetic grids. Then they all intertwine and interlock. There's 12 total. And 12 times 12 is 144. When you fully activate all of the energetic grid structures, you have 144 micro, it's a meridian and ley line cross they're showing me. The center of that cross is kind of like a node, an energy node. And so when all those become activated, it means that you have overcome the 3D experience, and you then will be granted access into 5D. Yeah. Yes, I have a lot of old crystals and stones collected over time. Can I recharge them or just get in touch with them? What would you recommend? So that's the same exact thing as me. I have so many of them. It was like, for a while, I went through a stage where I started buying pocket stones, and then all other stones, and then people would give me stones, and then all of a sudden I ended up with, there was way too many stones. So what I wanted to do, and now what the star people have been guiding me to do, is I use the stones as I have them. And then when I feel like I'm done with them, I pass them on to other people. That's why I started the crystal giveaway program. And so basically it allows me to use my stones, encode my energy into the stones, and then gift them. Now, I don't have to always gift them to just the crystal program. Like, I walk around in the world, and if I'm carrying stones in my pockets or crystals in my pockets, I'm handing them out to people I have communication with. And so today I had a wonderful conversation with a waitress. And so I wish I had a crystal at that moment, because I would have been like, here's a crystal to heal you, right? And she actually needed one. And so that's what you all should do. If you have buckets of buckets, if you can't mail them to me, just walk around with a couple of them in your pocket and hand them out. Be like, hey, it's a good luck rock. Right? Most of the people, they won't understand, hey, it's a crystal. It's like those little bracelets the 7-Elevens used to sell. It heals you, and just give them away, right? And so when you give it away, what you're actually doing is you're clearing all of the crystal energy, because it's like an experiential. And so the amount of crystals you have, the crystal grid around you says, okay, I have all this different energy around from all these different crystals. And sometimes it gets to be too much. We're not a crystal shop. And so when you clear out and you remove all of the old crystals, even if you're getting the same exact crystal, like let's say you give away a quartz, and then all of a sudden you get a quartz back. That's a different quartz. It could have come from a different location. It holds a different frequency code. It could potentially heal different things the way the crystal was programmed. And so when you know this, then give it all away, and whatever you need in the now moment will come to you. Now, that's the hardest thing for everyone to really have faith in do, because they're like, you want me to give away all my stuff? Yes, give it all away. Because think about this. When you give it all away, you're telling the universe, I don't need it, right? I'm willing to gift it to people who do need it more than me. You keep exactly what you need. You need a couple pairs of clothes, whatever, right? I'm not saying 100% of your stuff, but for the most part, give it all away. Now, this is what the star people do. They're not having closets. They don't want to have anything to do with that nonsense. They're not storing stuff. They take what they need and then they give it back. Except they have replicators. And so they take the pen from the replicator. Do you think they want 100 pens lying around their room? No, they put it back in the replicator takes it. And so when we do the same thing, when we copy their behavior, it's changing the magnetism in our energetic grids. which then in turn is telling your energy grid, okay, she's taking it, she's using it, and now she's passing it on. And she knows in the moment she will always have a pen. And in the moment, if I need a pen and there's not one sitting here, one of my kids will come over and I won't even call them. They'll be like, oh, can you hold this pen? I'm like, thank you. That's exactly what I needed. Right. And so that's being in the flow zone. And so every single thing that you need can be gifted to you in the now moment. It does not have to be a gift where you feel, like you're taking stuff from other people. It will just show up. My daughter did this. We went shopping today. We were at the mall. And she had asked me for $1 so she could play a video game, right? And it was one of those claw machines. And I looked and I was like, I only have 5. And so I did not have $1 to give her. We continue to walk. We get like one store down. She finds $2 on the floor. The Star people told me, ask her to give one of those away. And so I told her, do you want to give one of the dollars to the other little girls? She kind of felt uncomfortable talking to the little girl. So it wasn't that she didn't want to share. She felt uncomfortable talking to her. And so she didn't. And so she put the $1 in the machine and the first machine stole her $1. And I was like, damn, that sucks. But then she put the $1 in the second machine and then she played the claw game. And so, but you see, she manifested the money she needed in the now moment. Right. And so each and every one of us do this. She does it all the time with everything. Whatever the child wants, it's like she snaps her fingers and all of a sudden it's coming. And that's even if I say I'm not getting you that. Right. And so all of a sudden it's coming anyway. Someone gave it to her. Right. Or she'll find it, or she works her magic, or I found it on Facebook Market, and so it's amazing. It's just in letting it go, giving it to the universe, and then it's going to change the entire civilization. Because think about it. The corporations, the government, all this nonsense, they only have power because we give it to them. We're the mass majority. Well, you know what? What if we don't need a corporation? What if we go on Facebook Marketplace and we all start listing our stuff for free? Who wants it? Who needs it? Who has a kid? Who needs a scooter, right? You need a scooter? I've given away 3 scooters. Those suckers cost me $100. So what? Their kid needed it. You're welcome. The one people came here and tried to give the little girls both gave me $10 for whatever I was giving them away. I turned around and I couldn't. I gave them right back. I said, go get them ice cream. Right. And so that's the thing. Kittens. I love kittens. I cannot have any animals in this place though. So we had kittens in my house before. I had 100 cats. I was totally the crazy cat lady. And they used to follow me around. And I'm telling you, when you see it, it's hilarious because like I used to walk to the bus stop with like 50 or 60 cats following me. And then they would all sit down and they would wait for the kids. And it was just crazy. Actually, my life has been crazy. Yes, I am still accepting stones. Thank you very, very much. So the P.O. Box, it's P.O. Box 56, Emmaus, Emmaus, Pennsylvania, 18049. And it's under Danielle Lipton. And so actually, if you go on my Facebook, the Crystal program, the address is there too. And so, yeah, I'll list it up on Facebook again. This way you guys have the address. And then it's just so nice to share and to just, you release and you let go. Actually, we did have a piece of moldavite come through as well. And so that was on a necklace so that someone's going to get that. And that's really nice because it has another Tektite and a Herkimer diamond in it. So it's just, you never know what you're going to get. It's definitely more than the price of the crystal box. And so that basically covers the shipping and then the stuff I bought to put inside. So it's great. I do also offer sessions. So a lot of people have been doing the sessions. Now, they wanted me to let you guys know because I'm not really good at the advertising, but my normal session prices, we do offer Ascension packages. And so the Ascension packages is basically like buying 3 sessions and then getting 6. So you're getting double. So that one's really, really good for anybody who really wants to fast track your spiritual evolution. Now you have to put the work in because when the star people tell you, okay, like me, they told me stop drinking coffee. I had to stop drinking coffee. They told me stop smoking cigarettes. I stopped smoking cigarettes. I stopped everything. And so now my diet is very salad and fruit. And so, but that key and water, salad, fruit and water and juice boxes. And so you have to have something and it's organic, honest kids. But when you start really cultivating and focus on yourself and self-love and saltwater baths and borax, actually borax in the saltwater baths, that's something that's really, really important for each and every one of us because that topic came about today. I was telling people the borax, we drink it. I drink it. It's a micro dose. And so and send me a message if you want more information on that. There's a video. And so the video, you guys, I can't speak the name of the website or it'll get censored. But there's a name of a video. And so that video is an hour-long presentations about all the health benefits of borax. And so you have to do your research on that and watch the video. But I took it. I healed a hormone imbalance from taking it. Now, people have been taking 2 cups and putting it in very hot bath water, and they have been doing nanotechnology detoxes. And so there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. One of them is, the government put nanotechnology, sprayed it over our heads in the chemtrails and in the water and all stuff. And so if you take a glass of red wine and you hold it in your mouth, you could probably see the black things coming out. So that's been documented as well. Well, the borax in a hot bath water pulls all the stuff out of your physical form. So when you start doing that, now you want to throw some baking soda, some Dead Sea salt, and some Aztec clay. And that really starts to detoxify any of the yuck that we have going on in the body from all the chemical in the world. And so when you start to do things like this, these are things that I do. And so just because I played around myself, I've had to heal multiple diseases that I had going on. And so I started messing around. Okay, the internet said drink baking soda. I was drinking baking soda. The internet told, drink the borax. And all of a sudden, that was the only thing that healed my hormones was the borax. And so the doctors they were no help. There was zero help. They just left me. And so, yeah, nobody could figure it out because it was a pregnancy hormone. And so the regular doctors, they have no idea. So it's just amazing. Yeah. And so you're drinking it. You took a bath and I felt amazing. It's micro doses. So it is not drinking it. I drank a cup once and I got a headache. So you have to have tiny, tiny, tiny doses of the borax water. And so I used to use a 2 liter of water, which is like a giant soda bottle. And I would stick a tablespoon in it and that would last me about a month. And so I keep it in the fridge and I take 3 tiny sips, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's what I did. You guys have to do your research on it. And so when I did that, it balanced my hormones. I've had people, because I've guinea pigged it myself, and then I've given it to multiple people. I've had people with hernias in their stomachs, and they were doubled over. They couldn't walk. After about a week, they felt fine. After 3 months, the hernia was gone. I've had people with knuckle knots, and so they get big knots over here, and that's a calcification buildup. People who had carotid artery blockages, and they took the borax and it magically healed. Magically, this was surgically tested because they undergone pre-surgical testing, and the surgical testing wanted to check the clogs, and they were mysteriously cured. And so the doctors were like, we don't understand it. Of course you don't, because you don't believe in, natural minerals that can pull, nonsense out of the body. So yeah, 3 times a day. Yes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You split it up. Tiny. So like a teaspoon. Right? So a teaspoon for breakfast, teaspoon for lunch. It's a micro dose. This is a micro dose mineral. And so, yeah, all of this stuff. It balances the hormone. It pulls all the calcification, all this negative calcium that they're dumping in the milk, right? You start taking the borax, it uncalcifies because your pineal gland gets a calcification on it. That blocks you from seeing into the astral realm. So this is done on purpose. So you start taking the borax, and all of a sudden now any of the fluoride treatment, all that stuff that mess with the pineal, it cleans it. And so, yeah, it's great stuff. And so what are you going to do? Like cheese. I love cheese. And so they put it in the milk. So it's in the cheese, and then it gets in your body. And so anybody with arthritis is also caused by the same thing. So the borax pulls the arthritis out of your body. So I hope that they don't censor this video, but this is okay. Yeah. Fibromyalgia. Oh, okay. So you take it too for fibromyalgia, and she hasn't had a symptom since. Yes. So it cures a bunch of stuff, a bunch. You guys have to see the video. And so, yeah, it's just amazing. Tiny doses, everyday tiny doses. And so I noticed too, like, because sometimes I'll go 6 months, 8 months, and I won't have it. And then I'll feel like my hormones will be off, or like, well, there's certain signs when I know that my hormones are off. And so I'm just like, because it's like a pregnancy hormone, you notice. And so when that happens, I know it's time to take the borax again. And so I start taking it again, and then I feel better again. And then you forget and all sorts. But we're supposed to be doing it. You're supposed to be having this mineral in your diet. It's supposed to be found in the soil. And so the soil, the plants soak up all these minerals, and then we eat the plants, and then we get the mineral, the micro dosing of the mineral. But because of improper farming practices, it's being removed. And so now they're selling borax as like a laundry soap. It's a natural mineral. They say it right on the box. Now, I would always try and get the organic borax. And so if you don't feel comfortable drinking it, stick a cup or two in your bath and it absorbs through the skin. It's the same thing. It's a mineral. It's like the Dead Sea salt, right? And so anybody who goes to a float tank, your body soaks in all of those Dead Sea minerals. And so it's the same exact thing as that. You get soaked in through the skin. So yeah, take a bath with it. The borax, I normally get 3 mule. That you can find anywhere, Walmart, Target, it's all over the place. And so it's sold as a laundry soap though, as like an additive, but it's a natural mineral. Or you can go on Amazon, has the organic ones. So now I started doing the organic ones just because I wasn't sure. And the 3 mule says it right on the box, not as a drug use. So they know that you can use borax as a drug, right? And so that's kind of curious to me. So yeah, does anyone have any questions? Excellent. Good chat tonight, guys. The start people want me to go back to the 0 point because that was the original conversation. I got so far off. So the 0 point. Your heart chakra comes out the front and it goes out the back. In the center of your body, you have Kundalini channels rising up. There's 5 of them that are light encoded, but there's a 6th one that is dark matter. And so the dark matter one, it flows through the center. And so the light is around it. Right? No. He's saying no. There's a light channel in the center and the dark one is surrounding the light one. And so the light is always birthed from the dark, they're saying. And so the Kundalini channels, whenever you were trying to manifest something, each one of these channels is giving off a certain type of energetic, which then in turn brings the 5 points into the manifestation. This is another reason why the human form has 5 digits, he's saying. So you have the head, the arms, the legs. And so when you start to activate a particular manifestation, it is going to activate those Kundalini channels. And each one of the channels is going to have a different perception or a different energetic, which is going to change the manifestation process. And so let's say, for an example, you take any belief systems that you have into play. If one of the belief systems is negative or lower, it's going to affect the other aspects of the manifestation because of that one belief system. They're saying that that's how the Kundalini channel system works. So when you come in between the heart chakra, between the positive and the negative is towards the back, it's connected into the void. When you come directly into the middle, that's a 0 point. It's very, very, very important that each and every person learns or feels how to project the energy of positivity. So when you're in love, a lot of times your shoulders will kick back, your heart will open. And so you'll see it. People who are stand-up kind of people, they generally have their heads up high. That's because this energy naturally balances your body language. And so your body language, your micro expression, it has everything to do with your soul expression. Your soul expression is how do you carry your energetics. And so when you start to stand up straight, it allows the spinal cord to flow perfectly. And so then all of a sudden, now, how does it feel to be in a fear or a lower emotional based experience? How does that feel? A lot of times your shoulders will sink forward and you'll feel a pulse out the back, specifically if there's a fear or a trauma based thought or expression, they're saying. And so I felt what it feels like to pulse it out the back. It's not pretty. And then you feel like, oh man, I failed because I knew, you start the cycle repeats that way. And so you're just like, damn, the fear got me. And so then it's going to happen again because each fear that we have, it starts a cycle repeat. That's a fear or a trauma. And so the fear or the trauma is something that it's going to continuously repeat until we hold it from a heart space. And so this is another reason why people all over the world are dealing with animals. And when they deal with animals, they have an open heart. When they have an open heart, it changes your magnetism. The animals can see this magnetism, so they don't mess with you. They don't go to eat you. And there's been like children who dropped into the ape pen, and all of a sudden the ape is protecting and sheltering the child. That's the child's magnetism was in play. If that child had teased animals or the magnetism was different, that gorilla would have sensed that was not a positive child and it would have potentially acted differently. So this is actually the way it works. Now, dogs do this naturally as well. A dog can sense. And like not only that, but even the cats. So the cats, they knew. And I used to have random stray cats showing up all the time because they took one look at me and they could see your energetics and they know you're a crazy cat lady. You're going to feed me. And so they used to just randomly show up. And of course, what did I do? I grabbed them a bowl, right? If an animal is hungry, I feed them every single time. I don't know why. My neighbors can't stand it. They're like, stop feeding the bunny rabbit. And now I have a bunny. But the bunny is cool because he goes and he comes as he pleases. The cats, they always stay. So yeah. Can plants and animals manifest? Absolutely. And so there's new information coming about. My hair is in my face. There's new information coming about saying that the cats pick their owners. Every single cat I've ever had, I've never bought a cat. I have never wanted a cat. I have magically had these cats just show up at my door and meow until I'm like, we have to go to the store and get a can of food for them. And so then all of a sudden we're at the store, we're getting food, we're putting a collar, there's a little bell, and then the cat is mine. And so the animals manifest the owners. And so this happens in every single case because the animals know who is their familiar. Now, you may have had an animal familiar in a past life, and then all of a sudden that animal drops into the physical reality and comes back looking for you. And so you can look into the eyes of the animal and you can know in your heart whether or not that animal is a familiar essence. And so you can feel it. There has been times in my life when my kids, we kept having litters of kittens. And at some point, it was like the crazy cat lady who puts all these kittens on Facebook. And I had people from New York City driving in the train all the way an hour to come pick up free kittens because they were absolutely free. And so in New York City, they have to pay $200, $300 for a kitten. And so, but these kittens, it was like, my children kept calling one of the kittens in every single litter. Oh, that's Rosie. That's Rosie. That one's Rosie. My kids were tiny. They were small. They were babies. And so Rosie was my grandmother's name. And so we didn't tell the kids that. They were 3 years old. What do they know, right? And so they kept telling us, that one's Rosie. That one's Rosie. And so the name Rosie keeps popping up in my life left and right. And so it was also in a dog in 2019 when I was going through my transition from negative to positive. I had a dog around me who was a canine whose name was Rosie. And so she was such a, an emotional support for me going through the transition and all. And so, but the children know, right? And so it's a form of telepathy with the animals and the children that they can communicate with them. Trying to figure out how a plant would manifest without a heart chakra or speech or make intentions. Yeah, that's actually... Their heart is Mother Earth. Mother Earth is their heart rate. So the Schumann resonance, that's their heart rate. And so all of the plants are connected into the surface of the earth. All that stuff is connected under your feet. And so what you're looking at, now imagine that it's like, imagine you're looking at a guy's back and he's got 1 billion pieces of hair on his back, right? If you could pluck one, you're considering that one plant single, but it's part of a big organism. And so when we hook I know it's gross, right? We hook electrical magnetism up to the plants and you can ask a plant a question and that plant will start ricocheting music back at you. And so what it's doing is it's giving a frequency off. And so they've taken plants and they've damaged the plant. And right a split second before they go to damage or burn the plant fires off a fear-based emotion. And so that tells us that plant knows, not only does it know, but it knows that you're about to. That means it can see into the future. Think about it. Human beings can do that too. We all have the power of foresight. We all have had these thoughts to go left, and going left has saved us. And so that is the power of foresight. Now, the scientists have hooked our brainwaves up to a computer, and they have figured out that when they showed us different images, right before they showed us a negative image, your brainwaves fired off, a negative image was shown. And so, but that was happening before the image was actually shown. So this is how time-space works. Time-space is all an illusion. And so we have the power of foresight, which is timeline selection, basically, is what you want to call it. Even though there's no such thing as time-space, it's a perception. The timeline is how we perceive the magnetism to the experiences that we wish to manifest. So we are seeing it before it comes because it is giving us a split second to change our emotional frequency, which then in turn changes the timeline or changes the manifestation that we are attracting. That's what the star people say. And so, yes, the plants manifest, not only them, if you are sick, and I strongly encourage anyone sick to do this, go outside, spend as much time, put your hands, put your feet on Mother Earth, and lay down on Mother Earth. Ask her to gift you a plant that is designed to cure for you, whatever you have. And so I was in pain all of these years. And so I later found out after the fact, after I was not in pain anymore, that the berries in my backyard, it was like this, I forget the name of it, but it was like a red, purple, it was purple type of berry. And you were supposed to take the berry and squish it into your hands and get the juice on you and put it wherever you were in pain, and it lowers and reduces your pain. I've had that berry in my backyard so long, not knowing that that was my cure. So many times you take a look at sick people. Now, dandelion root is the #1 heart cure. It's all over everyone's front yard. Anyone who's had a really low or toxic frequency, it always is going to have an effect on your heart every single time, because you're not following your joy and passion. You're not experiencing love, joy, and bliss. And so we look at their lawns. It's covered in dandelions. The dandelions are all over their lawns. And that's because Mother Earth is like, they need the dandelions because they don't feel good. And so Mother Earth will gift you the plant that you need. Some plants are psychoactive. And so that psychoactive is just like a key unlocking the gate that is granting you access to see into the astral realm. That's all that is. And so we stereotype and we call people names because they tried magic mushrooms and ayahuasca and you're stoner and all that nonsense. And, you know, the truth of the matter is, it's a plant. Mother Earth has given it to us, and it should be used responsibly, and it should be used for spiritual practices. I've never done any of that because when I was in high school, I did smoke marijuana and I was high for 6 months. So I have an overactive pineal gland because I'm a channel. So I have to be very careful doing it. But I'm all for it because I've seen people with PTSD go and they've taken plants and all of a sudden the PTSD is gone. And so if that plant is able to heal people, it should not be illegal. It should be doctor supervised, or, you know, like shaman supervised. So like if you feel like you're having a heart attack or something while you're doing it, you have people who could save you. Like that's how I would do it, right? And so I think that would be nice. This way, also, if you do it in medically centered, you know, like a shaman place, it's not a recreational go out and party. No, you're using it to heal yourself. So I do think that we do need to have a secondary look at these plants, not drugs. They're plants. So you're not going to heal anybody, and you're not going to hear anybody calling a dandelion a drug. Nonsense, right? Because that's in my tea bags. You're not going to hear it. And so we're calling plants drugs. They're not drugs. They are plants. So you have to be very careful because they do this on purpose, because we hear the word drug and we feel a different feeling. But the truth of the matter is, it's a plant. It came from God. It came from Mother Earth. So we have to take it for what it is. It's a plant. Yeah, dandelion helps balance hormones as well. I did not know that. And so I have dandelion tea. I get the yogi teas because they don't have caffeine. Someone just told me that chocolate has caffeine. Like, so crazy. Yeah. Look at a dying plant and how sad it turns yellow and brown before dying. Yeah, give it love and water and it sends out new roots and leaves. Yeah, and I've seen TikToks and people do this with dying fish, dying plants. And so they take the entire root and they clean the roots off and they clip off all the dead parts, and then they put brand new soil and remineralize it and they love and light the hell out of it. And then all of a sudden the plant comes back to life. You have to realize the problem is the location. And so your environment is key. If you are not in a happy, positive environment, or if you are isolated. So some people, they live in these beautiful mansions and they have no friends. They have nobody. They get isolated and then they get depressed, right? And so it doesn't really matter if your house is beautiful. It matters your environment is your social environment as well. And so who do you have as friends? You have friends. You have to make friends. Go out, find a way to go out and make friends. And so people who are of like-minded, there's tons of people who are going through the spiritual revolution. Everybody keeps complaining that they are alone. And so find people online, find people in the local spiritual shops, the local metaphysical shops. Like me, I don't really leave my house at all. And so I'm trying to change that as well. And so trying to draw in, a tribe of people who want to hear and listen and learn and grow and all that stuff, right? Yeah. Programming promotes hypocrisy. What does that mean? Programming what? Like the crystals? I program every single crystal. I program my water. I program my body. I program everything because I feel like you are taking control. And so consider it a mantra or a mantra. And so I am intelligent. I'm happy today. Every day is the best day ever. That one is really important to me because I said that for years. And I was having some real crummy days and everyone around me was looking at me like I was crazy. And I'm like, it's the best day ever. Right? Every day. And so even if it's crummy, even if it's crappy, it's still the best day because you know why? I'm alive. And that's it. And so when you start to do it, then all of a sudden one day something changes magnetically and you start to manifest the best day ever. Speaking of what's considered a drug or what is a medicine? Oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah, they want us to believe that everything is different than what it is. It's all programming. And so the second that you turn off the TV, you stop listening to the news, they don't have that much access to program you. And so we already know that all the stuff that we experience in school, no, all the adults that you talk to, it's like we didn't use any of that information. When did we need that information? We had to learn a whole new set of information as an adult, right? And so it's wild. It's just totally wild. Oh, while on this live chat, I just burnt a pot of boiling water and then one of my essential oils just crumbled, glass and all. Any insights? What essential oil was it? And so was that a healthy and organic one, or did it crumble because maybe there was something in it that was not good for you? Yeah, so me neither. Here I am crossing paths with someone right across the other side of the world. The universe works like that. They do. They absolutely do. And so I've met people from all over the place. My people are up in Canada. They're in the UK. I'm in Pennsylvania. So I'm in a tiny little town. Nobody knows where I am. Yeah, it's just amazing. But yeah, you guys are all over. Australia, I have people. And so you guys always you keep me going because it's like you guys always have questions and you want to know all this information. And it's like I have all this information and I've been hiding for a very long time. So yeah, how do you program a crystal? So you take the crystal and I hold it up to my heart. I like to do a lot of heart-based emotions because you have to realize your heart is pumping that energy directly from that chakra. And so the closer the crystal is to that chakra, and then I imagine the emotion codes. So what emotion codes do we want to feel? Each and every one of us on this live, we can close our eyes and we can feel an emotion code. So close your eyes. How does it feel to be in love? How does it feel to be in love with anything? You could be in love with your life. You could be in love with a partner. You could be in love with your child. You could be in love with your car. How does it feel? What does that emotion feel like in your body? How does that make you feel? You take that emotion, you hold this up to your heart, and you imagine and hold that emotion, allow it to radiate and wash over your entire physical body, and then push it into the crystal or thank the crystal. Thank you, crystal, for taking this emotion and encoding it into your frequency. That's it. Now you're done. Yeah. You're on an island at the end of the earth. I was on Long Island. So I used to always say, I'm an islander. It was great. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, you guys are amazing tonight. And so what else do we have? You could do crystal water too. So a lot of times glass bottles are the way to go because glass bottles are cleaner than plastic. We really don't want to be drinking out of plastic, but we get plastic. What are you going to do? Glass blocks light ions. And so this is really important to know because a lot of these crystal bottles, they're all glass, and then they have the crystal thing at the bottom. The glass is blocking the frequency of the crystal. So it blocks the light ions. The frequency is the aura field, right? Light ions is your light. So if you take certain types of photography, we can see the aura field. We can see the human body aura field. We can see the plant aura field. We can see the plant aura after we cook the plant. And so it removes it. So basically cooking, it takes the aura field of any plant and it starts to ruin it or it just totally disappears. And so when that happens, hold on 1 second. I'm just going to do a quick clearing. Okay, excellent. Many blessings. I have a little bell now too. So I could ring a little bell. Sometimes when I feel the energy is off, we're just going to do a quick 5-second cleanse. And thank you, angels and star people and guides, for cleansing the energetic of my room and protecting us, and all sorts of beautiful love and light to this space. Amen. Usa, usa, usa. That's important to do. I know it sounds crazy. Yeah. Nature's Truth Sleep. Oh, okay. It wasn't organic. Yeah. So in that case, maybe there was something that wasn't positive in that bottle. And so you never know the way it works. And we were talking about the same exact thing, actually. Like, what happens when one of our things breaks or a crystal breaks? And so the waitress was telling me she had a bracelet and it had a whole bunch of beads, kind of like one of these, right? So she had a crystal bracelet, and then all of a sudden it broke and the beads went everywhere. And so a lot of times people consider it when the actual crystal breaks. But the truth of the matter is the bracelet broke. So the bracelet becomes an item. It forms a collective consciousness grid because it is linked together. Just this is what the star people are saying. They're saying that human beings work the same way. If you form a group, that group forms a separate collective consciousness grid around it. And so each one of your emotion grids and your thought grids becomes intertwined or interconnected, they are saying. And so that then means that when that bracelet broke, it is because all of those crystals were taking the hit of something in your energetic grid structure that needed to be cleared. And so many times we'll have a crystal crack or break, and that means that the crystal absorbed all of your negative energy from your grids, and then it breaks because it was too much for the crystal to take. And so when something like that happens, I normally pick up all the crystals and I gift them back to Mother Earth. Mother Earth will take them back. She will encode them with the source frequency or with the Schumann resonance, whatever you want to call it. And then she will bring them back into harmony with her frequency wave. Now, if you've ever seen an abandoned house, the abandoned house becomes abandoned, so no one's focus is on the house. So Mother Earth's frequency wave starts to take back that house. This is how the planet works. And so Mother Earth takes things back when we are no longer focused on them. And so let's say you have, for an example, two people, two different houses. One's abandoned. And so the other people, they left their house for a year, but it's not abandoned. They still love their house. No one is watching either house. The abandoned house is going to break down and go back into the frequency wave of Mother Earth. The house where the people are on vacation for a year, it'll be fine. And so it'll be fine because they still emit love for that house and they still consider that house part of their energetic grid. And so this is the difference between a particle and a wave. A particle is when a human being places your focus on the physical matter. It turns any item into a particle. So this pen we're all focused on is a particle. The second that we cast this pen away and we don't no longer need it, it falls back into Mother Earth's frequency. It becomes a wave. So she starts taking it back with her frequency wave. That's how the physical reality works. This is the reason why we are not meant or designed to keep 1,000 crystals in our house, because it becomes part of our energetic grid. And then all of a sudden we have all this chaos energy, right? And so we are being called to gift them all away and only have what we need. And so you're allowing your energetics to be cleared and rebalanced. Now, I'm doing the wrong thing because I have them right next to my bed. And so we're not supposed to, like the star people always telling me, take your necklaces off, take your bracelets off, take all the crystals off before you go to bed. Because when you sleep, you are re-encoding your energetics to your energy. So you should sleep yourself. Then when you wake up, you are supposed to figure out your intuition. So what is your intuition or your telepathy for that day? What does your magnetism tell you you need? Because each and every day could be different. Some days you could be going more into civilization. You may need a piece of opalite to protect you against negative energies. It reflects it back with love and light. I always program my opalite so when it reflects back negative energy, it's with love and light to people. And so you always want to do that because we don't want to cast any negative energy at any person, place, or thing. We want to take your negative energy and we're going to take it like it's a dark snowball, black snowball. And we're going to provide so much love and light, it's going to turn it back into a light bulb. And then we're going to throw it back at you, right? And so you're throwing love and light at people. It doesn't matter the darkness that they do. They do darkness because they are hurt people. And when they go through the shadow work and they heal themselves, they won't be casting darkness anymore because they will start to realize that we are each connected. When I hurt you, it's hurting myself because we are one collective. We are one species. We are one race. There has to be a point in humanity's future where we stop fighting and we start realizing, okay, well, we can see the negativity that's controlling the population. So let's us work together. And then all of a sudden, we don't need that system anymore. And so that system can be very easily overcome. Now, let me take a sip. Michael Tellinger, he actually speaks about a system called Ubuntu. And so that man has it all figured out. He's like, before we implicated money on this planet, we had a system of everybody shares and cares, basically. So we would contribute. Now, okay, so what if you're an artist? Well, your job is to contribute your art. And so you can either take that, you could be a teacher, you could teach your kids your art, you could do your art, you could take your art, you could put your art in people's homes, right? Who doesn't want to have an artist come to their home and be like, bling, and just magically transform the inside of their home into Never Never Land? We all would love this. The outside of our houses. Imagine if the artists linked up with the people building the houses, and all of a sudden everything became beautiful here on this planet. This is the potential that humanity actually has. We have to envision it. We have to start having conversations like this and talking about it, right? And so, yes, people, especially people older than me, they'll always be, the first thought that they will have is money doesn't grow on trees. It actually does grow on trees. It's paper. That's my answer. They always think I'm a smart girl, but the way that this works is everybody contributes. So Michael Tellinger figured out the Ubuntu movement. The Ubuntu movement is like this. He goes to different businesses and he offers them free energy. Free energy is you're no longer paying for electricity. And so we can make electricity using magnets. Very simple. We can make it using water. And so that actually makes hydrogen, which makes a type of gas that's combustible. This is how the cars work. We use gasoline as a gas. It makes combustible. So we could do the same thing with water and electrical platings that creates hydrogen. Same thing. So you're putting water in the car, you're getting hydrogen. So now all of a sudden, if somebody has to drive 1 billion trucks like Amazon all over left to right, you think that they want to be paying for gas? How much money are they going to save if they had free electricity in their cars? Right. And so now, of course, the oil companies, they do not want us to have this technology. So this is exactly what we need to do is start having conversations just like this. Right. Because the more civilians, the more mom and pops. Right. I'm a stay at home mom. That's it. I'm having this conversation with as many people as I'll have it with. Hey, listen, there's free electricity. We don't have to pay for this stuff. They're lying to us. Then not only that, but if you really get deep into the matrix, you start realizing that the United States government, every single birth certificate that flows through this government, they prepay your electric bill, right? It's for your entire life. So the electric companies, they already got paid. That's why they're not sending us bills. They're sending you a statement. A statement is not a bill. A statement is just a piece of paper saying what they want you to pay. It's not a bill. You only have to pay bills. You have to look at the Black's Law Dictionary. And when you start doing and diving into that, and then all of a sudden you have people online who are becoming sovereign. And so sovereign is basically reclaiming your citizenship, except it's not citizenship. You're becoming sovereign so that you are under the original Constitution, because the United States has actually been amended and taken over by a corporation. So that's a whole lot of information, but that information is coming out. And so when you become sovereign, all of a sudden the police can't bother you. You cannot get a speeding ticket. You cannot, if they pull you over, they have to let you go. You don't have to register your car. You do not have to put a license plate. You do not have to have a driver's license. All these things were rules that were imposed on us by a society, by a government that wants to control and manipulate us. That's not the way the United States government or the Constitution was written. It was amended by a corporation. The United States government corporation. That's who's running this country right now. It's a corporation. And so, yeah, it's just when you got to dive into that information hardcore, because people are waking up and they're realizing, oh, well, the United States, the whole Constitution and the laws were written because we are free individuals. That means we have the right to travel. And so the right to travel does not mean I have to pay a toll. That toll is an unlawful taxation. Paying a car registration is an unlawful taxation. The car registration, get this, they got us good with that one, because what you're actually doing is, so you're owning the car, but you're signing the registration, which transfers the ownership over to the government. That's why they're able to seize your car. They're able to put a boot on your car, right? So all this stuff is because we pay for a registration, which signs over the ownership of the car to the government. People have no idea. They have no idea what's happening. It's just crazy. And this isn't even like the conspiracy information. This is the law. Like, there is information left and right in the legal definition books that you guys can go and check. And it's just wild. So this is also part of the evolutionary process, is one, hacking the matrix, figuring out how to support yourself, figuring out how to open up a trust, which then in turn your business is owned by that trust, and then you are a trustee of that trust. So the trustee, you can have multiple people's names. This way the government can't seize your assets, right? And so this is that legal loophole so that they can't touch you. And so when you do that, you run a business. Now all of a sudden, all your expenses, like you could buy a car for $150,000, you could write it off as a business expense. These people are writing off airplanes as tax write-offs and all this stuff. So like, yeah, Wesley Snipes went to jail because he stood his ground paying taxes. I believe it. It's absolutely, and income tax is fake. It's all fake. There's no law saying you have to pay an income tax. They actually had a court case in which the people won, and they were like, oh, you're absolutely right, but we're not going to publicly tell people. It's voluntary. However, the second that you fill out a W-2, it's no longer voluntary because you've washed away your rights. So now what they're trying to get the parents to do, they're offering the parents, oh, you're allowed to give your kids all this money when you have a business. You can give them like $12,000, $14,000 a year, but you have to fill out a W-4 for your kids. So what's happening is the parents, you're signing over your kids' rights to not have to pay taxes when you fill out a W-4. Do your own research on the topic, but that's what's happening. And so, yeah, it's wild. And like the rich people don't pay any taxes because they figured out how to side skirt the entire situation. Now, if you go to other people and you tell them, I don't pay taxes, they're going to look at you like you're scamming the system. But this is how the rich and the elite work. And the rich and elite, when they get a parking ticket, they just pay that. It doesn't really affect them. But you giving a parking ticket to all these middle-wage people, and it's ruining their life. Because if they don't have money to pay the parking ticket, now they lose their car. Now they can't get to work. Now they can't pay their rent, right? And so one parking ticket can throw a family into complete chaos. But these rich people, it's like they don't pay taxes. None of that stuff. And so we want to learn to be like them. We want to learn to side skirt or work around the system, right? And so we want to do things a legal way. But it starts with education. And so you really want to educate yourself on everything, because it's all a fractal. Right. And so you can educate yourself on this topic, and that's going to benefit you. But then you can also educate yourself on, the metaphysical information and how to manifest. And when you start to learn that, that's going to benefit you. I can give each and every one of you guys about 100 different topics for you guys to research. And when you actually put your heart, mind, and soul into it, it can completely change your entire life. You would hack every single system on this planet. You would have complete amounts of abundance. You would be healthy, happy. Right. But the thing is that you have to put the work in. So you have to wake up each morning. Today is the best day ever. It doesn't matter if you feel crummy, right? You force yourself to get up and exercise so you can get all that release of hormones that make you feel good. And then you have to focus. You can't be focused on the nonsense TV, news, media, watching movies and all that stuff, even though I want to go see the new Avatar movie, but I just want to see it. I like Avatar. But we're not supposed to be giving away our zone of focus. We are still supposed to maintain a degree of education. Now, here's the thing. They educate us for 12 grades, right? And then all of a sudden we have to pay for our education, or we have to be smart enough to educate ourselves. The second people are out of school, that education goes right out the window. They start working, they become stressed, tired, overworked, all the stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden the education of the people stays at a 5th degree reading level because the television set is not speaking in a higher frequency vocabulary. It's all dumbed down. And so the only way for us to overcome the system is to learn about it, to educate ourselves, to figure it out. And it takes baby steps. And so when we have a look at these systems, right, it's not about how much confidence that you have in the system of getting it done, right? Because when I look at this system, I know about it. I haven't filled out the paperwork yet, but I don't have any confidence. And I'm going to do it correctly, but confidence in the fact that I'm not going to stop until it gets done, right? And then all of a sudden I rise above the system and you guys can't touch me anymore. That's important. That's important for each and every one of us, because the government right now, if you filled out a W-2 and all this other stuff, especially with everything else that's going on in the civilization, if they turn around and they say, well, you're an American citizen, you sign paperwork so that you can vote, right? So that's signing away your rights as well to a degree, because you signed a contract. Nobody looks at contracts anymore. Do you guys read the contracts when you sign for an auto loan? Do you sit there and read the 1,000-page contract? I didn't read that. I just signed it. And then all of a sudden my payments were higher than what they had told me. That's the way contracts work. And so we're not reading the contracts of everything. And these days and age, they have you signed a little digital pad. So you're not actually getting a piece of paper contract. You don't even know what the contract says. Their contract, they could be putting extra pages in the digital so that you're just signing this little pad, but you're not actually seeing the contract. The medical industry, when you go to the doctors, they're doing that now. And so they know that they're doing it. They're just not telling the people that they're doing it, but they do it all the time. And so this is how they got away with the nonsense that happened in, a couple of years ago with the whole, you don't have a proxy, but you signed all your rights away when you were admitted. You signed a contract, right? And so we're not thinking clearly when we're not reading the contracts, because they're telling us the only way to admit you is by signing a digital pad, right? And so we have to be the ones to educate not only ourselves, but all of the people around us, because it's time that we learn, okay, what system are you guys using, right, to impose the rules and regulations on us? Why do I have to follow your rules? I don't agree with your rules. Did I agree to pay a tax? I was born into the system. Now, when you're born, they take an imprint of the soles of your feet. That's important because it's your soul. Your soul is the bottom of your foot. They're taking an imprint of the soles of your feet, and your parents are signing you away to the government. That's why CPS can come up in the house and take your kids. It's because you signed you signed it over on your birth certificate so that they own you. It's kind of like a registration. And so, yeah, nobody ever reads the small print. But the second that you sign the kid's birth certificate, the government owns them. They take the birth certificate and then they trade it on the stock market. This is how we're able to have privately owned prisons. And so what do you think they do? You have someone who comes into the prison. They have the stock market, right? They have the birth certificate, which is it's linked into a stock market bond. There's actually an account linked to each and every birth certificate. There's an account number, right? That's your social security number. It's an account number. And so then all of a sudden the governments and the international governments, because your birth certificate can be sold and traded to other countries. And so this information needs to get out to every single person that we can possibly spread the information to, because when people start to really hear about this and they start to unpack it and understand, everyone is going to be flocking to become sovereign, because you're taking back your authority. And so the way that the law is written, when you become sovereign, you are coming from a childlike mind, which is the reason why when you go into court, you are not allowed to speak for yourself, because you are a child. You have to assign or pay a lawyer. The lawyer is meant to speak for you, because a lawyer understands their language, because a lawyer is an adult. The second you become sovereign, you're the adult. And so your social security number, you don't need it anymore. You get a new one. Then all of a sudden you have access to become your own bank, right? And so then all of a sudden you have access to real finances, because you can take out a $250,000 loan because you're sovereign. And so there's a whole lot of benefits that come across with this. And there's different ways to clean up your credit report by sending different, statements or papers to the credit bureaus, because the credit bureaus are all fraud too. It's all an illusion. It's all fake. It's not even real. And so when you start to do the research on the credit bureaus, you realize that who are these people? They're companies. Who's paying these companies? Why are we listening to this? Who put these companies into control? And so there's ways that you, the creditor, can call each and every one of these companies. And if something's on your statement from them, which is a statement, it is not signed in blood. You never signed a contract with those people, right? You may have signed one with like Citibank, but you didn't sign a contract with them. So you're the one responsible to notify them of your bills and your credit. And so if you have something to dispute with them, they're supposed to treat you have to come at them like, no, wait a minute, you're dealing with my account. You have to come at them like you're an adult and you have authority. They change their tone real quick on the phone with you when you talk to them like that. So it's all about, how are you going to manifest these things? Are you going to come at it from a place of authority, right? Because the second you become sovereign, you realize that the cops don't treat you the same. So the cops still treat you a certain way, but the second that you're sovereign, it's like, oh, we can't mess with him, right? And I've seen it happen multiple times on videos. They're like, oh, we can't mess with him. Let him go, right? We got nothing. You can't even like, you can't even have a conversation with him, or you can't. He's like, I'm sovereign. That's it. He's out. Bam. Right? And this is happening in Pennsylvania. So yeah, if I know this and I live on a small island close to the Antarctic, then be assured this information is spreading to the four corners of the world. Yeah, that's right. And that's another one, right? I don't like the cold. Otherwise, I would go, but I'm going to send you guys. So if someone wants to go to Antarctica and come back and tell me what's there, right? Because I don't believe any of them. We know that there's pyramids. We know that they found technology. That's in Antarctica. So that's really important as well, because look at the information that's coming out. Now, they found stuff in Antarctica. They don't want us to go there. People are talking about a flat earth, all this nonsense. It's like we're not getting the real story. They didn't tell us that we had extrasensory abilities. So why was all this kept from the public? Right. And this isn't even diving into the conspiracy. I won't go into the conspiracy because the conspiracy makes people terrified when I tell it to them. And so we're more powerful than any conspiracy on this planet. The conspiracies, whenever you see darkness, we can send it love and light. We can heal that instantly. So the conspiracy really doesn't even make a difference. The things that do make a difference is how to empower yourself. Becoming sovereign empowers yourself. Becoming knowledgeable empowers yourself. Do your research. Open a book. Right? Go down to the library. Don't always trust the internet, because unfortunately the internet has been flooded with misinformation. And so you really have to, how do you legally get to be sovereign? There's a lady on TikTok. Her name is Sovereign Mama. And so I would go right to her TikTok, because she has a bunch of links and she takes you right to the links. It's like, I know how to manifest. I know the metaphysical information. And then I have the star people telling me all this stuff about how to hack the matrix. She's doing that with the sovereign. So it's kind of like you have to pick your guides for what you wish to manifest. And so, the sovereign, that's something that I'm going to be doing as well in time. And it's just amazing. And not only that, but like people who are on like, what is that called? When the old people, their Social Security. So you can still get your Social Security and you can still become sovereign. It does not affect your Social Security. And so for some reason, they were like, people are wondering that. So you're not on TikTok. Well, I mean, it's Google sovereign. There's got to be information out there. I mean, it'll come to you. So I would love to know why they're down there in Antarctica, and they're there for a reason, spending trillions of dollars. That's exactly what they do. And not only that, but this is the reason why we're not supposed to be paying employment taxes, because they're taking our taxes from our jobs. Now, let me tell you something. These people who work, like, I don't want to call them like the Walmart people, like they're working for minimum wage, right? And then they have to give the government $200 a week. It's nuts. And then they're taking the $200 and they're blowing it on God knows what. Do you know that each individual, we pay all this money in tax, but for food stamps, for Medicaid and Medicare, like all of those services, we're paying something like $17 a year. The rest of our tax money goes to military and fuckery, and so what are you going to do? Like, they're not accountable. And then they say, oops, we lost trillions of dollars. And it's just like, the people got to get angry to a point, or something needs to give, where we're not giving them all of this tax money. They're using it against us, because who else besides the government is running the chemtrail program, right? And so when you all this information, it's kind of like, we need to stop paying them so that they can mess with us like this. Because, when you become sovereign, then all of a sudden, you don't have to pay them anymore, right? And so you do things the right way. You do it within the legal boundaries so you don't get hurt. Or you start a revolution and you get everybody to do it at once. Because when everyone does it, it's game over. They got no game, right? Because we are the mass. We are the majority. And so, you live in the jungle of Costa Rica, and I'm the community state. We are all sovereign beings, but I don't think that will hold up. It does in the United States. So the cops don't have game here. So if you fill out your sovereignty, the cops cannot touch you. And so I've seen it. Yeah. They know, because they know that they'll get sued. We got cameras. And not only that, but you click on Facebook Live. So whenever you're having some type of, like, people, when they have problems with the police, they click on a live, right? They put it right to TikTok on the live. So we need to get in the streets like other countries. What does that mean? We need to get in the streets? Yeah, this is amazing. I can't believe I'm talking about this on my live. Normally I talk about metaphysical information. Yeah, but I mean, I guess this is all part of hacking the matrix, right? And so when we learn to become sovereign, and so sovereign basically means that you are sovereign, you're a sovereign being, right? You are reclaiming your sovereignty, you are reclaiming your adulthood. The way the legal law is written, right? There's something to do with your birth and being in a harbor and being born with sea and water and all that stuff. That's the way they use the law so that they can take ownership of us. The second that they are buying and selling and trading stocks, that means that they consider themselves our owners. I have an issue with that on every single level. And so I've never liked being, I don't like people telling me what to do. Even if I'm going to make a mistake, I'm going to fall on my face, I'm going to do it anyway, because I'm going to do what I want to do. And so I've been like that since I was a kid. And I totally feel like we should be doing what's right for all people, not just me, right? If it's not good for you, it's not good for all of us. And so it has to be good for the entire group. Everyone has to be in agreement. And so we can do that with certain things. Like, how do we, like even the sewer systems, is it good for Mother Earth? Nobody thought about asking Mother Earth, is this good? Now, we have farmers who are taking, self-compositable, or I think that's how you say it, but the toilets, and they're putting some sort of like sawdust in there, and they're turning it into actual soil in 3 days. So you're telling me that you can take human waste and you can turn it into something that you guys can plant and grow with, and it doesn't smell like poo in 3 days. And yet we sit here and we wash it all into a cesspool or a sewer system, which then the government is taking the sewer system, they are chemicalizing it, filtering it, and giving it back to us as drinking water and fluorinating it and putting bleach in it and all sorts of chemicals. Like, is that good for the earth? Is that good for us? Why the hell are we doing this? Who agreed to this system? We didn't agree to this. We needed water. They said, we'll give you water. And we said, okay, we'll pay a bill. That's how the system started. At one point, it may have been good for everyone. And now that our population has grown, it is not good for us. It is not good for the planet. It needs to be reevaluated. How are the city officials? Do you think that they want to hear that we, the people, want them to spend our money correctly? No, because they're happy taking their budget cuts and they stick the money in their pockets and yada, yada, yada. We've all seen it happen. If they actually spent the tax money on improving the local community, everyone's streets would be beautiful, right? We would never see a pothole. It would be gorgeous. There wouldn't be any litter because they'd be paying people to clean it up after us. They would be doing the right thing, especially in New York. New York, Long Island, do you know how many people we have paying tax? And then the place looks so run down and crummy. So what are we paying all those taxes for, right? These are all questions that have to be answered, because if someone put me in charge of that fund, every single location would be a rock star location. It would look like Disney World. You see what Disney World's doing? As a matter of fact, how many times do we take a Disney vacation? What, once a year? And so if everybody took a Disney vacation once a year, what are you spending? $2,000? Disneyland looks mint, right? And so just take this as just a concept. Disneyland looks mint. They pay people to paint the telephone poles. They pick up all the trash. They make sure the street is brand new, fresh. There's no potholes. X, Y, and Z is done. Okay. They're raking in a large amount of money, and they can do that. The government is taking our money. They're getting more than $2,000 from us for a year, right? How much do you pay in taxes? $200 a week? 2, 4, 6, 8. That's $800 a month times 12. My street should be beautiful, right? I should have, everything should be mint. All the lights should be healthy and positive and beneficial. They're not doing the right thing for any of us. And so where's all this money going, right? And so when we start to see and we start to ask these questions, why are the elders, our old people in the civilization, why are they not asking these questions, right? Who are the adults here? Why are you guys allowing the Congress members to stuff all of our money in their pockets and they're not fixing the streets? Right? You know what I mean? Like, these are all questions that need to be had. Where are the people? The people are not coming together because we've been disconnected, because they stuck TVs and televisions and screens in front of our faces. And so we spend all this time in a digital world. And yet when you look around the real civilization, you see people who are homeless. Why do we have homeless people? We're paying all this money in taxes. Why can't you build a place for them? Right? Even if it's a tiny living place, because now they have, so I believe it's California. Maybe I see it on Netflix, but they have tiny little places with 2 beds inside of it. It is a temporary living situation, but they offer them showers, right? And so now all of a sudden, the homeless person is not spending the entire night on the street. He's going there, he's getting help, he's getting resources, he's getting access to clean clothes, food, he's getting put to work. And so we can put them to work picking up the litter. We can put them to work cleaning leaves. We can put them to work doing so much stuff that our taxes could be paying for. Instead of the government taking taxes, running it up with the military secret space program or with all sorts of military programs that are hidden from the general population. This isn't even going back talking about free energy, right? We're just talking about the things that we can actually see. All of these topics need to be discussed because this is just nonsense what they're doing, right? And so the only way it's going to change is if we, the people, start having these conversations with our neighbors. Hey, do you guys see what the government is doing? How are we going to change us? How can we, the people, change us? How can we make a change? It starts with open verbal communications. The masses have to get involved. We have to let our neighbors know. We have to let our friends know. They're taking all of our money. They're not doing what's right. So what can we do? Here's some options. We could talk about it. We could become sovereign, so we stop paying them. Because if you guys, I would rather take the $200 and give it to the homeless man in the street and ask him to clean up, because I know he's going to get the job done. You government, you're not going to do it, right? And so you have to pick and choose what it is. Yeah, buy a house and you never own it because you're paying rates and taxes forever. Yeah, and that's wrong too. There's loopholes for that, because if you take the home, there's a certain way to fill out the home so that you don't have to pay the taxes, because the way the original United States, once again, this goes back to the sovereignty, right? And so if you know how to legally fill out the paperwork for the house and the building or whatever it is, you'll never have to pay tax, and the government doesn't own the house, so they can't come in and claim the house. What kind of ridiculous nonsense is that you pay a house for 30 years and then you miss the tax payment? So maybe you owed the government $900, right? And so you paid $200 or $300,000 for the house. You missed a $900 payment. They took your house, they put it on a list, and then they auctioned your property off. And so you can go online right now and you could buy someone's property when they miss a $900 tax payment. And then all of a sudden you can evict the family. You could take control of their family house. It's wrong. It's totally wrong. I feel like it's totally wrong. However, it is an experience and I hold no judgment to it. However, if we can start taking the baby steps to become knowledgeable, start doing the research and start talking to each other and telling each other, hey, there's a better way to do this, and maybe let's all figure this out. This way we can take back control of our country, right? And this isn't even the United States. This needs to go global, because it's all governments. And so the governments they're in every single country I see them taking control of the people and owning them. And so that's not the way this planet was meant to be run. We are the people of the planet. We are supposed to work in a symbiotic relationship with the planet, which means we're supposed to live in peace and harmony with Mother Earth. We are supposed to treat her as a divine, respectful as we can. And so those people are not treating her that way. And so if we don't agree with it, something needs to change. And so who knows what change is going to come, but I know that we have to start having conversations like this with our neighbors, with our best friends, right? We have to sit down and make a list. What do we see that's wrong? How can we change it? And so we have tiny little pockets of people that are doing this naturally, because thank God that the consciousness grid works the way it does. Because you may see people popping up left and right, like people, I try and support local brands, right? So let's say somebody opened up, we're just going to call it a product. It's a personal product, but they open up a product. So when I buy one of their product, they're donating one to somebody in Africa who doesn't have one. And so I'm picking that product because it's organic, it's natural, it's in tune with Mother Earth. And then they're also giving back a product to the people. And so that's the light workers, right? That's us. We came here to hold a higher frequency. We don't need to be millionaires, right? We need to live in peace. We need to have a community so that we each feel loved. We can love each other and we can hang out and support each other. Nobody gets isolated, right? We need fresh bakers. We need fresh stuff. The Ubuntu movement would completely remove money from the system. Now, the government is funded because they have our money. And so if we remove the money from the system, they are no longer funded. What can they do? You think people are going to follow them if they have no money? Right? And so Michael Tellinger also has solutions for country protection. because that was something that came across in his questions. And so people wanted to know, well, if we don't have a military, how can you protect your country? What if another country comes in and wants to invade you? And Michael Tellinger was like, well, our scientists have built a type of laser that ricochets off of a satellite and can melt your country. And so don't mess with us. And so, but that's it. You don't need an army, because now all of a sudden you have the satellite that can protect you. And so that's one solution. So you don't need an army, right? Now, if every country has a laser, no one's going to mess with each other. It's kind of like the nuclear program. We all have nukes pointed at each other. No one's going to mess with each other. I haven't seen a nuke fired, right? There's been no nukes. And so the nukes are really aggressive. But not only that, the extraterrestrials came and shut that down. So, but we want to get to a place of, Africa is one of the richest continents on the earth. That's right. And look at exactly what they've done. They've pillaged it, right? The diamonds, they come from, like, I've seen the movie where they were making all the African men dig for diamonds and they were treating them horribly. Like, that's really going on? I'm not paying that kind of money for a diamond. You know what? You can give me a cubic zirconium, or you can actually give me a crystal. I like crystals, right? And so that's it. We can shift where we vote with our money, right? And so if they're treating people in that country that poorly, it's just like China and the iPhone. I haven't bought a brand new iPhone in so long. I'm still rocking the red one, right? I've had it for years. And if it doesn't break, I'm not buying a new one. You know why? Because they had to put suicide nets around the building to keep the people who are putting together our iPhones from suiciding. So what the hell were you guys doing to them? You were treating them like slaves, right? And so it's like you have to pick and choose with your money, right? I don't want to spend more money. I mean, I'm not getting rid of my iPhone because I tried to switch and I hated the other one. But I don't want to put more money into a system that is going to be treating people like that. So we have to pick and choose our battles. And then not only that, but we can, yes, the government is employed by the people, but there's also other extraterrestrial entities controlling the government. And so we're not going to get into that, but there's a lot of extraterrestrials on the planet in general. They're all over the place. I've seen one before. I've telepathically communicated with him. I really had to use the bathroom. Now, was all rough and tough. So I walked in there. Well, I was cute. I walked in there just smiling like my normal self. And then all of a sudden, he had pointed to the bathroom. So he knew telepathically, because inside my head, I was like, I gotta go. Right? So he had automatically known that I had to go. And so he pointed. So, and the second he did, something hit me. It washed over me. And I was like, he's telepathic. And I felt it. And so they're all over the place. They're everywhere. You all have interacted with them because they look like us. And if they don't look like us, they have technology to change the way they look so that they look like us. So that's it. When you start to open up your eyes, you can start to see through and you can start to feel their essence. And so when you feel their emotion codes or their aura fields, then you could tell that they're not from here. That's a sense that you guys have. It's the same thing when you walk next to another person, you feel their energy grids, you know that they're from here. Or let's say you can sense, like I know when someone's from New York, they have a presence about them, right? And so you know who's from your local town. You know, it's like, it's a location code sense that gets embodied into the person. That location code sense, the star people are stepping forward and they're saying it could be changed or transmutated. So you could be born in New York, you could spend 10, 20 years there and then shift. And then your location code, your sense tends to shift or become modified depending on the new location codes. So it's ever changing. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, wars, laundering money, all that stuff, depopulating, that's all nonsense, right? The truth of the matter is, we have to get, the people need to be properly educated. And it takes time because the same stuff that's happening here with the government, it's up in the stars as well, to a degree, but it is up there. And so we have to really become educated. And so we had a program. We had a program and we love the government. We just think it needs to change. And that's important to say because for every single system that is negative, you want to add more love and light into it and allow it to become positively focused, right? Or you want to add love and light, and then eventually that system will break down, so it's no longer needed. The star people are saying. I like that one better. So we had a program when my kids were born. They were born in 11, so 2011. It was called Your Baby Can Read. Now, of course, I think it was the government. I have no proof of this. There was a lawsuit, right? Nonsense, absolute nonsense. They tried to turn around and say, oh, it didn't teach the baby to read. And so I did the baby read program with both of my kids. I had my son reading at the age of 2. That program worked. And so it made the kids super smart, because when I put him in the shopping cart and I took him over to Costco, he was reading all the signs at 2 years old. Most 2-year-olds, they could barely talk. They're speaking a handful of words. This child knew 100 and something odd words. And so we didn't stop there, because then he started reading at a very early age. But that program was teaching them too quickly. And so they would become too smart. And then all of a sudden, that program was off the market, and you can no longer find any information or any program similar to it. What the parents did was they started showing their baby flashcards with the word on it, and then showing them a picture. So the word giraffe, and then the photo of the giraffe. And then what the parents did, because they had access to the technology, they took a video of them flashing the word, pointing so that they would read the word giraffe, and then showing the picture of the giraffe. They made a whole video of that. And then they made the baby sit there and watch the video over and over. All right. And so the baby watched, and she made multiple videos with different words. And so the baby would watch, and then all of a sudden the baby was like, she knew the words. And so when you said, hold up the animal, the giraffe, the baby would say giraffe. Right. And so the children can learn at early ages. Now you have to realize the farmers, they had their children driving. My best friend, her kids are like 9 years old, and she taught her kids how to drive. Right. And so it was so funny. She just told me a story. I have to tell you guys. So she was parked somewhere with this monster van. And like, I guess a parking attendant came up and was like, you guys can't park here. And she's 9. And she got in the driver's seat, and she started to turn the car on, because her mom let her drive the van and moved and parked the van. And so the guy started to panic. But think about 50 years ago, right? You guys, the farmers, they used to hand the keys, the kids the keys to the car, and they used to send them for whatever they needed. And the kid at 9, 10, 11, 12, they used to get in, they used to go. And so the kids are more capable than what we are giving them access to do. And so when we start to really push them in education, and we take them out of the school districts, because the school districts can be very negative. It can be very, very negatively focused. There's a lot of abuse that goes on there. And so a lot of the kids get bullied. Some of them commit suicide, and all this stuff is happening in the schools. There's too much pressure, too much stress. It's not fun. If school was a fun place for the children, and they would want to learn and grow and develop, and they had a great time and everyone was happy, then it would be a different environment for the kid. The kid wouldn't come home stressed out that they had all this homework to get done, and they only have a certain amount of time, and then they're having anxiety, and they're only 9 years old. I pulled my kids out, so my kids stay home. And so, but now it's like, where is the social circle? Because human beings need a social circle. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like a compromise. That whole system is another system that needs to be revamped. And so we take a look at old systems that we see in place. It's kind of like the sewer system, right? So we look at it, and at one point in our consciousness, it fit. It made sense. It worked. It handled what it needed to handle, but now it needs to be revamped. So we're having a look at every single social system from that perception. Every single social system needs to be reworked and revamped. We need to come into a modern day. And the only way that I see this happening is by a spiritual revolution. And so the spiritual people, the people who meditate, we can make changes into the consciousness of the people who are running the country. So when we start to get together in group meditations, and we start to project our manifestations into the grids, it's actually going to change what we see. And so all of these systems, when you're doing quantum walking or quantum manifestation or quantum meditation, it's all the same thing. You are changing your zone of focus, which is changing your perception, and it's giving you access into a different timeline in which all of those systems healed itself. The reason why I am in this system, in this timeline, in this reality, is because it is my highest passion to wake up the magical abilities in the sleeping masses. And so that's why I choose to be here. We could very easily shift into a system in which none of this stuff is in my life. right? And so each and every person can make that shift as well. And so a lot of times these systems that we speak of can be very negatively focused, but the second that we switch our focus to a positive one, those systems naturally start to heal themselves. And so that's another option for manifestation. But it all depends on which route you choose to go. And so I choose to be intellectual. Okay, this is my reality. I'm going to liberate myself. And then I choose to manifest for world peace. And I choose to wake up as many people to their divine nature so that they can start doing the same thing. Because now the star people have always told me we have to take spiritual steps because we are spiritual beings, but we have to take physical steps because we are also, there is a degree of physicality inside of us. And so when we start to take physical steps, if you want to manifest something, you are going to have to get up off your butt and make a move, right? And it doesn't matter what that move is. Now, that move, you may have the manifestation fall into your lap, but you still have to pick it up and you have to move with it, right? You have to do something with it. That's the way energy works. You can be given an energy, but you have to make something of it. And so that's real power. Because when you train yourself to be the best version of you possible, then you learn how to handle all of these different systems and how to overcome each and every system. That's another process of evolution. It is taking control of your adulthood. That's what the star people call it. And so it was really funny because I was having this conversation with somebody else a while back, and they even started they were very religious. I'm not really that religious, but they know the Bible a lot better than me. And they said there's something in the Bible about taking control of your being in the matrix as well. And so whatever quote that is. Yeah. Okay. So does anybody have any last questions? Because yeah, we got way off topic today, but yeah, this was a pretty good conversation. Anybody else? Last questions. Anything else you guys want to know of? Let's take over the world, right? We'll heal everybody with love and light, and we'll heal the planet. That's my goal. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I wish you guys, thank you very, very much. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you guys in Instagram land too for tuning in and watching. I appreciate it greatly for you guys tuning in. Thank you guys very, very much. If you guys have any questions, any spiritual questions, any physical questions, any questions I can help you guys do anything in your life to really overcome anything, please send your messages, your questions through the Danielle Lipton website. I do also offer private sessions. And so private sessions, we normally call in your star family. I call in your guides as well. I do a full energetic clearing on you. That normally takes me 15 minutes before and then another 15 minutes after the session because I do 2 energy clearings of 15-minute breaks. And so a lot of times, sometimes your magnetics completely shift during the energy clearings. I've had some lady, the star people came in and told her to bend the spoons, and then she bent like 5 spoons. It was amazing. She put a picture up too. So we had a picture. And so it's just absolutely amazing. Some of the information is what natural abilities that you guys have attunements to, your star families, and then we clear out all the chakras and then any ascension information that you need to get you to the next level. Those sessions can be found at daniellelipton.com. And so I also offer healing sessions. So we can dive into traumas. We can release them from your biological form. The healing sessions are a little bit cheaper than the ascension sessions. So anybody who needs to be healed, please contact me. I can walk you through the process. I can give you a list of what to do. We could do the energy clearing on you. We can release. A lot of my releases are very strong, and it has the potential to shift your entire life around. And so many times, and even you guys can check the reviews on my website. Each one of the reviews came from real people, and so real people left all of those little comments. And so people have the Arcturians show up in your room, or Andromedans. They're stepping forward now because they're also part of the star people. It's like a group of them, and this group, the star people group, they really want to make it so that they make each and every one of us in control and in power. And so all of the information that they give is all about how to empower ourselves, how to transform our lives, how to activate our extrasensory abilities, how to hack the matrix, right? Anything that's going to empower us. They are not going to tell you guys what to do. They are going to tell you what does your heart tell you to do. They're not going to tell you what choices to make because that would be violation of your free will. You have to make the choices. They can help you release the traumas. They're very sensitive and they're very good at that. And so they can help you guys release. They can guide you. They do not want channels in the future. So I won't have a job pretty soon. They want to communicate with each and every one of you guys. They don't want gatekeepers. And so they want you guys to start making a form of communication. Thank them for coming in. Thank them for talking to you. They're going to start talking to you like that tiny little voice inside your head. That's them. If it's positive and loving, caring, kind, it will be them. And so thank them for coming in. Listen to the voice. Write down whatever they tell you. Write it down right away. And then see what they say. And so you start asking them questions and start writing it down and seeing what they say. Start asking them questions and testing them. I tested them. I test them all the time. I want to know what is the information positive? Is it something that's going to change or transform my life? Is it something that is it relevant to the physical world? Is it something that I can take into my everyday life and I can use it to benefit myself or the people around me or shine more love and light? What information are you giving me? Is it positive? Can it be useful? And so that's the information that I want. And so that's the information you guys should be asking them, things that you don't know. And just wait, because it'll feel like a bright idea will come to you. That's them. And so they want to interact with us. All star seeds have a star family. And so start making contact and communication with your star family. They're there. They want to interact with you. They want to be with you guys. They've been guiding you all since you were little kids. Most people are indigos, rainbow children, star seeds, light workers. We're all coming from the stars to come here and do this type of work so we can raise the biological frequency of the earth and save the human collective consciousness grid. And so we already won. So it's already in the bag. Because they can see through time and space. They can see that we already won. And so it's just amazing. But we take these little baby steps. We learn and we grow and we heal. And the last full moon, it knocked everybody around. Right? I don't know a single person who wasn't affected, who didn't go through some type of shadow work, even if they were like, I'm all healed, I'm fine. And then the full moon come and they were like, oh man, there was some stuff I had to go back over and re-heal. Right? Even me. It's a learning process. It's a growing process. As I learn, you guys get the information I'm learning. I've healed a bunch of stuff. I still have more stuff to heal, but everyone's human. If you were completely healed, you would have activated your rainbow body of light. You wouldn't be here. So and it's me keeping myself humble. And so you guys too, keep yourself humble and be thankful and grateful for your experiences. And the crystal program, anybody who wants to send crystals in. And thank you guys for sending Christmas cards, because people started sending Christmas cards and gifts and all sorts of things too. So I'll post the address on Facebook. It's P.O. Box 56, Emmaus, Pennsylvania, 18049. And so thank you so much for getting crystal packages, donating the crystals, and allowing us to share and care and really form a community. So you guys are absolutely wonderful. Any messages, send them through the DanielleLipton.com website. I take the messages and I will address each and every one of them on the next live. And so many, many love and blessings to you all. You guys have a great night. And thank you so incredibly much for joining the community. Okay.